Hello, everyone. Welcome to Feedstuffs 365. I'm Sarah Muirhead. How many pigs have to die before we reconsider biosecurity? It's a big thing to think about, right? Joining us today to provide information and management tips for the barn, feed mill, and feed as we ramp up possible PRRS infections here is Dr. Alex Hintz, veterinarian with Novus. Welcome, Alex. Thanks for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sarah. Glad to be here.
For those of you that are tuning in our audience, if you have any questions, feel free to post those there in the chat area on your screen. If you're joining us from social media, post those directly in your social feed. So let's start, Alex, by having you tell us a little bit about your background and your role there at Novus.
No, that's perfect. And like Sarah said, my name's Alex Hintz. I'm a veterinarian by training, and I've spent most of my career in the swine industry. And a few of those years were in practice, and then probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I shifted over to technical services, where I've started to work more in the nutritional area, spending time on nutritional implementation for animal health and swine health, and seeing what we can do on that end for performance. I've also spent some time in a master's program in nutrition, so trying to grow that side of my knowledge to help customers and help producers out there in the field.
Very good. Now, PRRS cuts an estimated $1.2 billion from the U.S. swine industry annually. What can managers and veterinarians do to minimize the risk at a hog facility? Are there certain biosecurity protocols that can really help to reduce the risk and, just help those herds along?
It's a really challenging time of year that we're coming into right now. And I mean, we used to say fall when the weather got colder was PRRS season. It's kind of feeling to me like PRRS season is year round these days. So anything we can do in the barn biosecurity wise is going to help. I always like to start with the basics. So make sure you have those clean and dirty lines enforced. If you have a shower on your facility, make sure you, your guests, your employees are all showering in and showering out, and have that dedicated set of clothes on the farm, because that is going to be your number one way of keeping any of these diseases out, keeping any of these bugs from being brought in, maybe from your truck, maybe from your house, running into somebody at the gas station. All these little areas just increase that risk of the virus either being on your feet, being in the environment. And if you can keep any of those small areas out and just focus on those, then you can start to pay attention within your barn. When you're walking your pigs, I always like to start from the youngest pigs first. They're going to be the ones most susceptible to disease because they're clean, their immune systems aren't built out, and then work your way up from those young pigs to the older pigs. If it's on the sow farm, that means you're going to start in your newborn animals, and you're going to go up until about those wean pigs. If you're working in wean to finish barns, you're going to start with your youngest nursery pigs at the beginning of the day, and then visit some of these older pigs as you go down. And then just pay attention to anyone who's coming in to visit. Make sure you know where they're coming from. Make sure they know any of your biosecurity practices and your biosecurity requirements, just so you can keep track of anything that's going on. And if you do a lot of that stuff, you're going to be pretty safe from bringing some of these diseases in.
It's all about making sure you're enforcing that too. It's great to have all these biosecurity practices in place, but then if you're just lax on enforcing them, that they really don't do any good.
It's a challenge, and we have a lot of people visiting our farms from different places. We have a lot of employees coming in from different places, and just reminding them what the importance is. Keeping those pigs healthy are going to be beneficial for the employees. They're going to be beneficial for you as the producers. And then it's just going to keep in mind for your visitors, for any of your contractors, what they can do to help you out and make sure that your life's going to hopefully be easier during this PRRS season.
What about at the feed mill? Are there specific biosecurity protocols that can help to minimize the risk at that point in the operation?
A lot of them remain the same as on farm, but in the feed mill, you're going to have trucks coming in from both your fields for grain, bringing in grain, and you're going to have trucks that are leaving all the time. So there's a lot of cross traffic, and just reminding truck drivers, reminding employees there to keep a dedicated area for trucks coming in that are going to be clean to then bring the feed to the farm. And then you also want to make sure that any truck that has gone to a farm, gone to a site, is cleaned and disinfected before it comes back to be filled up with feed again. And it's just paying attention to things like that. Do we have any cross-contamination from these? Are we making sure that the tires are clean when we're bringing in grain to unload there, or tires are clean to be bringing in feed to put it in the feed truck? And then your drivers, again, they're visiting a lot of sites. They're seeing a lot of people, just reminding them to put on clean clothes when they're coming onto a new site. If they've gone on farm, to wash their hands, to put on boot covers to make sure they're not tracking anything that way. It's just a lot of basics that we all deal with on a daily basis, and sometimes they get forgotten.
What would you say is our truck drivers, are they pretty, do they follow a lot of these rules, or do they kind of just like let them go? I mean, how much enforcing do you have to do as a hog producer? Do you really have to be out there watching, or do you think most folks are aware and are doing what needs to be done?
I like to give most the benefit of the doubt. And most, if you keep reminding them and talk to them about the main reasons that we're keeping these biosecurity practices in place, they're going to pay attention to them, and they're going to give it their best effort because, again, we're all in the same industry. We all work together to make sure we get feed to the pigs and then the pigs to the market. And any little break in the biosecurity can cause a disease and can cause a challenge. And just reminding drivers, reminding people at the feed mill and at the farm, all of these conditions, they're going to pay attention and they're going to give it their best effort. So most people understand, and most people, they're going to follow these directions because they know that it feeds back to them at the end of the day.
Good point. What about the feed itself? Is there anything there that should be taken into consideration in terms of biosecurity?
So one of the things that we've been seeing more and more in the industry is that feed is a potential vector for some of these viruses like PRRS and PED. And I talk about PED because that's one of the areas, and that's really the first time it was introduced as a vector for a lot of these diseases we're dealing with. And more research out there has been done to show that while the chances of the viruses coming in might be minimal, they're not zero. And PRRS has the ability to then survive in feedstuffs and in full feed, that then if you feed it to the pigs, is going to challenge them and the pig can break with PRRS. So an area of focus for us and in the industry has been looking at different feed additives that you can use in the feed to both reduce that risk of transmission and then give the pigs something on the performance end to see what they can do and see if anything we're paying for is going to give them a better chance of producing and a better chance of avoiding some of these viruses. So at Novus, we've been spending a lot of time recently on Activate DA. Activate DA is an organic acid blend that not only enhances performance, but we see a lot of benefit on virus survival, spending time on looking at it for PRRS survival in the feed and PED survival in the feed. And both of those viruses were able to reduce the risk of transmission and then reduce that risk of survival in the feed. So the pigs shouldn't be infected by the viruses if the product's used in the feed at the same time. It's an area that's getting a lot more attention, not only from Novus, but a lot of our industry partners. And if anybody has any questions or wants to look at it, there's a lot of really good research out there these days. And I recommend they take a chance to take some time to look at and see what the companies are doing and see what our industry partners are doing as well.
Where best to go for that information?
So we have a lot of the new information on our website, novusint.com. And we've partnered with a couple different university groups as well, like the University of Minnesota, to do some of this research. So spending time with these reputable industry partners who are doing a lot of this cutting edge research, we try to make sure that we're doing what's best for our producer and doing what's best for the industry. And just being able to partner and work with a lot of these great experts is really good for the industry. And I recommend some of our producers check out the information that we have.
What key takeaways or final thoughts would you like to leave our audience with here today?
So I would just say, again, like we started with, start from the basics with biosecurity. It's a really challenging period in our industry when we're getting into these cooler temperatures, but PRRS doesn't go away when the temperatures change either. So being vigilant and staying on top of those basics allow you then to do some of these advanced practices and look for those little cracks in your system that you can clean up to hopefully keep out PRRS, hopefully keep out PED, and perform healthier and produce healthier pigs to the market.
Very good. And biosecurity, we all know it's certainly very, very important. And I want to encourage folks too that want more information to go to nationalhogfarmer.com. At the SLAT level is a new resource center that we've set up, and we've gone and talked to a number of veterinarians about various topics, including biosecurity. And there's videos and all kinds of good information showing you exactly how we need to be doing some of these things at the barn levels. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Sarah, I appreciate the time and look forward to hearing from any of the audience.
Likewise, we appreciate all of you for tuning in as well. Until next time for Feedstuffs, I'm Sarah Muirhead.